like, oh, these boys is monkeys.
Mm.
Like, my dad was like, what? Like, but she's not thinking it like that. I know she's not like, oh, she's really thinking like these boys is off the chain. They like monkeys. They just won't stop. But she's not looking at it as in like a race fact. Like, oh, you're white. They're just like they're my, no, she's not thinking. She's just saying like, these boys is monkeys. They're like just certain stuff.
So she's saying that so she's saying it in the truest sense of the word, based on monkey behavior.
Yup.
But the fact that she's white and white people use that as a racial slur, she's not even making the connection to that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we used to.
And then when she says it, if you have any other black people around, like your dad,
they're going to look.
It's like, wait a minute. Time out. You need to understand the implications of what that is.
Yeah, I might be a kid and not understand it, but you're going to be like, you know what I'm saying, peeping that and be like, I don't really know about that. So back then, we used to say the N-word.
Okay.
My granny she'll say it too.
She would say it too. Wow,
she'll be like,
that's tough.
I ain't a whoop. I'll be like,
wow.
What? I'll be looking stuck. Like, granny, she'll be like, what? I'll just like, yeah, granny's, like, she don't care. And
That's tough.
I don't even care. I'm to the point where it's like, I don't care if you say that, because I know it's different when it comes from certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though, we say it to ourselves. So if at the end of the day, if we get mad at another race saying it, we need to stop saying it to ourselves then.
Yo, what up, world? It's your man, Cross, a.k.a. Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. Y'all know what it is. We give a voice to young black males across America. And the Man Up Club is a mentor leadership organization for young men between the ages of 13 and 24. We mentor 4 distinct areas: life skills, social skills, academic discipline, and civic responsibility, with 3 main goals. That's to get young men to graduate from high school, keep them out of the prison pipeline, and get them to go into college or have a trade after high school. And I got a gentleman here, Moses Azad, from Golden Touch Mobile Detailing. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit about you, man, and just kind of how you grew up and what have you. So when we talking to Man Up Club, it's basically to, kind of dig a little deep into lives of black men and their perspective and how they see America, and basically for them to have a voice for themselves.
For sure.
80% of young black males in America unfortunately grew up without fathers. I don't know if that's your story or not. That's one of the things that I'm always interested in finding out when I talk to a young man, because you just never know, how that's going to be. But tell me a little bit about your childhood.
So, my name is Moses Azad. I'm a sibling of 7 kids. I'm the second oldest. No, third oldest. I'm the third oldest. It's me, my 2 older brothers. I got it's my older brother, my older sister, me, my younger brother, 3 younger brothers, and another younger sister. So, I grew up. I got my mom and my dad in my life. I didn't live with them growing up though. I lived with my grandma growing up. So, that was a good experience. But my dad was in my life though. He, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, that it's important to have your father or something like that in your life, or something. Not everybody gets that. Yeah. So gratefully I had my dad in my life. Granted, he wasn't in the household every day, but he was definitely there. You know what I mean? I had to go with him and stuff like that. So that definitely shaped how I became a man and stuff like that, and being with my mom and whatnot. But majority of my life, I lived with my grandma. So a lot of that, too, was smooth sailing. I got away with stuff that I wouldn't have got away with when I was with my parents and whatnot. They went for none of that. So different perspective on different things and stuff. So
how'd you end up living with your grandmother?
So back then, my mom was actually on drugs. So my grandma stepped in. She was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take them, me and my little brother." So it's me and my little brother. Out of all 7, me and one of my other little brothers, we lived together. So we grew up together with my grandma. His name is Khalil Azad. We grew up together, and that's how that went. So we lived with my grandma, and
Yeah. So you're young and your mom's on drugs. How old were you when you
Um,
first come into the knowledge of your mom being on
so
drugs?
so that was before I was born too,
Okay,
and
okay.
a little bit after though, a little bit after too, I would say. But before I was born, she was doing that, and she didn't have her stuff all the way together after
Hmm.
I was born and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It took her a little bit while. Other kids, she got other ones and stuff like that. So, um, but yeah, just I don't really remember it too much and whatnot. But I just, like my mom always took care of me and made sure I was good. So I didn't think nothing of it and whatnot until I got older. And I'm like, oh, okay. She used to tell me like, yeah, mom, I was doing drugs. That's why you know what I'm saying, with your grandma. We all kind of split up. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because stuff happens.
At what ages did that conversation take place?
I probably was like, I want to say maybe like 10 or a little bit older to understand like,
Yep.
okay, this is like, this is what's going on, or you know what I mean? Like she used to say it, I think back then, but it probably didn't register right
Hmm.
away.
Hmm.
You might say a little something, you go over your head and whatnot, but
Yeah.
after a while I started like, okay.
How did that hit you? Like once it started to settle in and you started to
Um,
actually process it, did you see yourself as different from other kids, or did were you in a position where you felt some type of way, or
um,
thought something some
I
type of
didn't.
way?
It's not until like now,
Oh, okay.
looking back now in my whole life, because I can do the helicopter view and really like, okay, but it took a long time for me to understand like, okay, I wouldn't say I was different, but just like, when you're young, they like to put black kids and all that on medication and all of this, that, and the third, and say that they're too hyper and all of this, right? But at the end of the day, they're just being kids, right?
Hmm.
Kids are just kids. You gotta, some advance a little bit more than others, some don't, some learn at a faster pace than others, some don't, so.
Right.
And I was a product of all of that. So I've been through all of that, treatment home, all of that. So me seeing that and realizing like, okay, like, dang, like, this is why I one day it hit me. I was like, I know why I failed or fell back in school or was in the special needs programs. It wasn't because I was slow, it was because my behavior. And the reason why that is because also too, I'm taking medication. I'm knocking out in the classroom.
Mm.
So I'm passed out for 3-4 hours that, I'm not thinking nothing of it, but that's affecting my schooling. So I'm not catching up with the other students. They're doing assignments. I'm not even there. I'm more and more getting behind and whatnot. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, that affected me. I started seeing that though. I was like, but it took for me a while to see that though, like to see the whole book play out. Like, oh, I used to do these medications. I went here. That was making me act out in a certain way, or all of this. And I'm like, wow, like, okay. They tried to get me, like, like if I would have fell into that hole or just like, and
Hmm.
then pull myself up, or just, I would have just been another victim or another, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I didn't want to be that, So I started seeing, I'm like, now everything that they say I used to be, I'm not even that, or you know
Hmm.
what I'm saying, or
Yeah.
I know I'm not that. So it's like, oh, they used to say, but I'm smart and I know all this. I can articulate. It just took me a little bit more time, or
Hmm.
I had to. Now I think I'm more advanced than that. Like, okay, because my understanding though, like how my mind is set up, like, okay, I understand why I had to go through this, or what this would have had to be for me to think how I'm thinking, or I had to be in this situation with my grandma, and boom, to get the best of all these situations and understand like, okay, this how it is with that, this how it is with this how it is with living with these type of folks, this how it is with living with them. You put all of that together, it's gonna make you a better man
Hmm.
if you know what to do with it.
Sure.
So
Yeah. So there's basically the labeling.
labeling,
Yeah,
you know.
trying to label you
Yeah,
as certain
whatever,
things. Yeah.
and broke them labels off, or just, like showed yourself. And at the end of the day, it's all in yourself. So if you know who you are,
Hmm.
and you like, that ain't,
Do you resent that?
nah,
And let's call it the system, because that's kind of what you're dealing with, a
yeah, for
systematic
sure,
issue.
for sure. Nah, because at the end of the day, it's like a game. It's there for a reason.
Mm.
It's almost like God, like, okay, everybody don't get the same struggle. Everybody don't, but it's a reason why you get in your struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You just
Mm-hmm.
gotta find a light in that. You know, it might be
Mm-hmm.
hard. It might be you might go through so much before you figure it out at the end. And he's like, oh, but that has to be your story. Cause that's everybody got their own story. They got their own path. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't knock it because it's part of the. If you don't complain and you know what you want and you know that you can overcome that and get more, it shouldn't stop you. It shouldn't be a roadblock that, oh, that's the reason why, or I'm black, or that's the,
So you look at it as part of your process.
for sure,
You look at it as part of your process
for
of
sure,
development.
for
I'm gonna
sure.
approach that from a different angle, just from the standpoint of one of the things that you said earlier was that you didn't need that medication and basically these
Yeah,
diagnoses that they were giving
yeah,
you, and it was more just a behavior thing.
yeah.
So when you look at that and you think about that, the question becomes, especially with our young black kids, and especially if you're not culturally used to dealing with black kids, and they acting out and having certain type of behavior
Mm-hmm.
issues, one can only imagine, how many, little black kids went through that and then end up getting labeled,
Mm-hmm.
getting placed on medication, getting
Mm-hmm.
behind in life.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad reality is for those who was not able to be as fortunate as you to
Mm-hmm.
recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be extremely interesting
Mm-hmm.
because I think that happens quite a bit.
For sure, and that's how them kids end up in jail, and just all type of stuff. Because but it starts from the roots. It starts from something that you don't even know is happening, but it just it's like little steps over time. They lead up to the big thing, and you like, how'd I end up here? It was little things that you were doing that got you there. You might not
Hmm.
see it right away, but evidently you took them steps, and it was getting you. Because you reacted a certain way and you went this way instead of you could have went this way, or so it made your obstacles a little different. So
So around 10 years old or what have you, when you was coming into the knowledge of you really processing your mom being on drugs or whatever, and now you stand with your grandmother, and so you recognizing that your living situation is not a typical traditional, living situation.
mm-hmm.
Did you act out? How did you respond? Like, and when you talked about your behavior, what was your behavior? Like, was you a bad kid? Was you getting in trouble a lot? Was you,
Yup.
how did that look?
Yup. So I wouldn't say to me, I'm not a bad kid. I know now, but just I used to do bad stuff, whatever. Just have fun. In my eyes, it was fun, but at the end of the day, I'm wilding. You know what I'm saying? Just doing dumb stuff. You know what I mean? Not having no real like guidance and stuff like that. Just finding my way. Just like I ain't got no dad. I ain't got no mom to really tell me. And then even when I do, I go home to my grandma. So it's like, my grandma's old. She did the best she can, but two young black kids. And then at that, my grandma's white. She's not black.
Okay.
So that's
So
a
another
really
dynamic.
different. So when people used to see that and be like, "Dang, she taking these two crazy black kids in, and like she really love y'all," and that's my granny. I love my granny for that. You know what I'm saying? So. And I don't look at her no other way. If anything, she my color. You know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
don't look at it like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? My granny took care of us. She cared for us. I love my granny. And that's what it is. So it's just like, yeah, like, and she ain't have to. And then at that, we black, we crazy. Growing up, they used to tell us, like, you got these, they used to pull her to the side, like, you need help, Miss Beverly, or you okay? Because we know having kids is, and then you got two little black boys that's, so it's just a lot, like, but, just fought through it and just, it made a man out of me and just, I wouldn't have it no other way, really.
Mm-hmm. Is your granny still alive today?
Yup,
Okay.
sure is.
Okay.
I get to see her all the time. Actually, she's in the nursing home, but I'm finna go see her after this. Matter of fact, I swear I always see my granny.
Yeah.
Yup.
That's what's up. It's Mr. Dean. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Tap in with us. I'm here with Moses Azad, who owns Golden Touch Mobile Detailing, talking about, his childhood. Man, I think well, first of all, yeah, it's commendable, what your grandmother done for you. And a lot of times, so families go through these trials, tribulations, situations, circumstances where, maybe one of the parents are not there, but you got a situation where you got both of your parents who are not there. And then, your grandmother, steps in. And a lot of people have that story, where their grandmother steps in, but you have a different dynamic because your grandmother's white
Yeah.
and she's got these two black kids.
Yeah.
You feel me? So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about, how that dynamic just growing up, in a multiracial, let's call it a multiracial home, and being a young black man, and how that affects you or what have you. Give me just like the realness
So
of
like,
what that
man,
is.
just like, okay, so my grandma's white too. So like, she didn't really, I didn't really learn too much about my history
Okay.
and know certain stuff because my grandma's white. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't knocking her for that. She's just white. So I learned white stuff. I learned some stuff about some white people and whatnot, but I didn't. It was until I got older that I was like, okay, or my dad when I used to go with my dad, he'll try and like just tell me stuff, or I would just see just different stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with my dad, he might not have it how my grandma has it, or my grandma's, just a little bit more, she's older, so it's the crib, all of that. My dad is still, you know what I'm saying, struggling or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Trying to make his way.
Trying to make his way, you know what I'm saying? Just whatever, though. My mom, too. My grandma had a nice, so growing up, nice things. I just more privileged until when I seen older, like, oh, okay, like I had it good, you know what I'm saying, for sure, because I was just, you know what I'm saying, like, just didn't have my family and stuff like that. But I didn't have my brothers and sisters and whatnot. They lived with my mom. It's just me and my brother, so didn't really learn too much about my culture until later. But I did, but I didn't. If that makes sense, like only what I seen, maybe movies or whatnot and little stuff. My cousins used to come over there. My grandma adopted 5 black kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and had 5 of her own.
Okay.
So my mom being one of them, and then she adopted a couple other people, a couple Native Americans and stuff like that. And so one of them, my uncle.
Let me back that up a little bit
Yup.
just so I can make sure I got the context. It's your white grandmother who adopts
Yup.
these kids,
Yup.
one of them being your mom,
Yup.
which was obviously black, yes,
Yup.
right? And then she adopts other kids, be it black
Yup.
or native kids.
Yup.
But then she also has her own kids,
Yup.
which is white.
Yep.
So you basically got a mixed bag in
Yup.
the house. Okay,
Yup.
go ahead.
So,
I just wanted to clarify that.
That could cause a lot of tension, or, growing up. I don't know how that situation was growing up. I'm sure back in the day that's still a lot of, it's family, but at the end of the day, that's still a black and white back in the day. They looking like, yeah, that's okay, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I bet it was some interesting conversations in that house.
For sure.
Just
You know what
with
I'm
life.
saying? Just, yeah, I'm definitely for sure. So growing up now, it's just like, but my granny did that. So just knowing that you did that back then, you had to have a lot of heart and just like really, you know what I'm saying? Because like back then, it's like, then your husband, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know my grandpa before he passed away, all of that. So it's just like, they're real white folks.
Mm-hmm.
But my granny was like, hey, she got a good heart. She like, I'm gonna adopt 5 biracial kids. Like, let's do it. Like, boom. So yeah, that's why I just be like, yeah, my granny's she's a G.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
doubt. I don't care what nobody say. And I put my granny through hell. And it wasn't until I got older.
How so?
Just like the choices I used to do a lot of crazy stuff, just have my granny out here. We was bad, like, just running around crazy, having to look for us at night, worry, talking crazy to my granny, all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
What would you say?
Like, cussing, I was bad. Like, I was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have got my head knocked off my shoulders by my dad.
Okay.
Like, no lie, and my mom, for sure. They done did it. That's why I used to hate going over there, because I could get away with stuff at my granny's that I couldn't with my, but it worked out in the long run, and I love my granny. She know, like, all that, like, I'm not the same person. I've changed, you know what I'm saying? And
obviously.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I did a lot of crazy stuff.
The reason I'm asking about the details and particulars of the things that you've done is because we got a lot of young men that's doing it now.
For
you
sure.
See what I'm saying?
And I ain't afraid to say it. Like, yeah, cussing at her. I used to throw stuff. Hey, man, I did a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could take all that back. You know what I'm saying? But my granny still loved me with open arms at the end of the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how they spit in Jesus' face, and he still loved them. Like, like that. Really like that. Granny used to go to church every day. So I'm not so churchy now, You know what I'm saying? But my name is Moses. I understand my story and what I do, but I'm not so just sucked into the church now. I got my own path and my own story, and I feel like I'm following that. And you don't have to necessarily, God isn't just in a church. You know what I'm saying? So after I got out of that, you know, my granny used to be like, yeah, if you don't go to church every Sunday, you going to hell.
Okay.
I used to be like, Granny, ain't what, did God come down and tell you I'm going to hell? You know what I'm saying? Just talking crazy and just be like, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm a good person. If that's the case, we all, you know what I'm saying? If I ain't going to church, well then, you know what I'm saying? But used to be just, after a while, I kind of started figuring out who I am and what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, I understand the messages that they're saying. I understand what they're saying. I just, okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I wanted my own interaction with God and my own bond with the, you know what I'm saying, the higher power than somebody putting something on me that I'm like, I don't really know. I don't want to do this. Deep down in my heart, I'm like, I don't even want to do this. Like, this ain't even something I want to do. So why is myself telling me that? You know, maybe it's a different way I'm supposed to learn it. Just like everybody learns differently. So stuff like that. Going to church.
Yeah. So, and I can understand her perspective because we already talked about the time in which she grew up in and then the decisions that she made. I mean, obviously, she's a brave soul. To be able to take care of a multiracial, multicultural household, you feel me? So that comes with a whole lot of challenges and what have you. But then obviously it sounds like it had a lot to do with her faith as to why she made some of the decisions that she made.
Yep, for sure.
And then the other piece is that, you know, growing up and existing in a time in which, you know, she's a young lady or a young woman, going to church was the safe haven for people. So even then, it wasn't pushed as much as what you're talking about, which is to have this personal relationship, you know, with Jesus or with God, as much as it was going to church, because it was like if you just went to church and you was faithful to going to church, then people just assume that relationship was established and that relationship is real tight. You feel what I'm saying? And so what you're doing is you're resisting this religious establishment, you know, that she has that's bringing her through. But the thing is, can it be said that even though you resisted it, she laid the foundation for it?
For sure.
You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
She laid the foundation for it because and the thing is, it's not even far-fetched of what you were dealing with and your resistance, because there's so many people that resist the gospel, you know, or resist, you know, quote, religion or what have you. You feel me? Like that's what a sinner is. So in order for a sinner to come into the knowledge of Christ and want to choose Christ, you know, they have to be drawn. So you saying the bottom line is you saying you wasn't even drawn at that time. But then this foundation is laid. And then later on in life, at some whatever point, I'm sure you'll talk about it, that you chose to develop this personal relationship for your own personal path.
For sure. And
Makes sense?
And I knew, like, at the end of the day, I knew also, too, like, even though I'm in all this church stuff, my name is Moses. Out of all my family, I'm named Moses. Like, so that right there had a big impact, because I'm like, let me figure out about me. I'm watching all that, and I'm not knowing now until I got older now, and I'm just looking at the stuff, and I'm reading it back, and I'm just like, yeah, that's really me. Like, for real. That's really what I'm going through. That's really me. So I'm just like, Back then, I just was like, I'll listen, but I just wasn't, you know, I was like, I gotta be here. It's like school. I have to come. Like, I've heard the stories. I understand what they're saying. So I don't shy away from it now. I just don't go to church anymore, because it's like, but I would though. You know what I'm saying? I would, though. It was like, okay, but it just has to feel right now, what I know now in me. I got to know that it's not like they just be, every church ain't always a good church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just because they preaching something don't mean it's always a good message. Just because I look like a thug or whatever doesn't mean I'm actually what you're seeing. I could be more intelligent than what you think, and now you looking like, oh, this man is really a good person. We're just labeling him a certain way, you know? So, and you could be looking all pastor-like and be doing devil's work.
That's real.
It's all, you know what I'm saying? So I don't judge a book by its cover and, you know, stuff like that. So,
well, I think that's one of the biggest issues that, you know, the church makes is you know, it's kind of like the traditionalism, you know, of what you're saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a pioneer of Christian hip hop.
Yeah.
I started that here in Minnesota probably
Okay.
at least 25 years ago.
Okay.
And so I can relate to exactly what you're talking about because at that time, people couldn't even understand how hip hop and church could coexist together, you know, and it was people in church, mainly pastors, who would be the main person that would call it devil's music,
Yeah.
you know, just because it was rap.
Yeah.
So they didn't even see rap,
Yeah.
you know, based on its content. They just saw it based on its package. You feel what I'm saying? So, and then that, you know, if you really understand your Bible, it makes you wonder, you know, and it's crazy to think about it, but it's like, does the pastor really know his Bible? Because if he does, then he should know how to separate the messenger from the message.
Yep. For sure.
You feel me? Which is what Jesus did all the time.
For sure. For sure.
You get where I'm coming from?
Definitely.
Yeah, and so I find all of that to be interesting because a lot of people would be when they come up on what you're talking about, it would turn them further away
Yep.
from church.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So what's Granny's name?
Beverly.
Beverly.
Yep.
So Beverly obviously is a phenomenal woman.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know you growing up, you starting to tap into your own identity. You know first of all, you was rebellious, and then you start to tap into your own identity. So you're giving her a hard time or what have you, but obviously you're saying that love conquers all. She was still there
For sure.
for you. Now that's a message within itself.
Yeah.
You know, for people that, you know, it's like, you know, at what point do you give up on kids?
And
Let me ask you that question, since you were a person who rebelled
yeah.
and kind of put your granny through hell.
Yeah.
At what point do you give up on a kid?
Man, that's a good question. Like, to be honest, like, it ain't you can give up on them whenever you want, to be honest, but that's something that you're gonna have to go through with you, because that you might have guilt on that, because they're not all the way there yet. You gotta understand, like, they're still kids. Even me, we're all still learning. It might take somebody longer to learn. It might click when you're 29. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just woke up. Luckily, I woke up when I was like 14, just to be like, oh, okay, stepping back from a lot of things that, you know, because a lot of people I know died, went to jail, got into stuff. Just the fact that I woke up and I'm like, I could see other things that they can't. And that man might call me scary or whatever, but I just know, like, knowing now, I'm just trusting my intuition. Like, okay, like, so. Yeah, what was it?
No, I was just curious. Like, you answered the question as far as like when do you give up on the kid?
Oh yeah.
And maybe there's not a time to do that.
And that's one thing I learned. Like, people say unconditional love, right? But I understand that that comes with a lot though, because a lot of people aren't gonna take disrespect and still love you, no matter what. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's only so much you can do. But the fact that I've done that so many times, and I seen my granny so many times be like, "No, I'm not." They used to be like, "Get rid of them boys, Miss Beverly. Like, let them go. Like, let them go to a foster home. They need it. They're gonna send you to an early grave. Them boys is crazy." She like, nope. Like, so just seeing that and just knowing what I put my granny through, like, I seen my granny crying, like, all type of stuff that I used to do, and be like, dang, like, looking back, like, yo, granny really love you, like.
Did you think you was worthy of that level of love?
Nah, probably, no, I ain't thinking. I don't know what it is my granny used to see. You know, it's just like that, like, my granny she just is that good of a person to just, she got church, and that's a really powerful thing, because like, ain't no way, like, I've seen it even with me or just certain people, everybody's not like that. And that's what makes me be a better person every day, because I think about my granny. I'll be like, what would my granny do? My granny's like God. She's an angel. At the end of the day, straight up, she's an angel, because it's like her heart and everything, her intentions are so pure. Even though she might do She'll come. I guarantee back in the day, she'll crack jokes on anybody. You'll see us and she'll say something to you like, oh yeah, these are just my two boys, or I'm the mean old grandma. You'll be laughing like she crazy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like she's, oh, okay, like she kind of, you know what I'm saying? You'll see it and be like, oh, okay, like she funny, like yeah, she used to be, yeah. We used to be sagging. She'll start pulling on her pants. Everybody be laughing. Like, we like, Granny, what are you doing? She's clowning. Clowning. We be at the register. She like, yeah, these two clown. And that's another thing, too, I learned, right? My granny was racist, but not really racist on purpose, if that makes sense. So
break it down.
She'll say little things to us like, you clodhoppers, or you little boy. Like, back then, my mom and them, they used to be like, man, my dad hated my granny. And I had to check my dad when I got older, because it was like, Dad, listen, I know you don't like my granny because she used to not let me go with you and stuff like that or whatever, but I didn't want to go either, though. So, but she used to be like, nah, I don't think that's, you know, my dad wanted to take me everywhere. She was like, I don't think there's a, you know, so I get that. But it's like, you can't hate my granny for that, because it's like, I am who I am now. Now we do everything, or I'm more understanding of both sides. So I don't just look at it like, oh yeah, woo woo. No, you hate my granny, but you should love her because she raised me to be a better person and had this understanding and just gave me good love. Like, at the end of the day, even though she's white. If you want to look at it like that, she's white. You're scaring her. Who knows? Like, you know, she's not. But she wasn't going. My granny was not going. She done got in my brother's dad's face, my dad's face, and was like, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I'm not doing it. I love these boys. Like, you gonna have to fight me for it, like, for real. And just like, they'll tell you, like, they can't believe it. Like, that lady's.
I want to go to something you said. You said she's a racist, but she's not racist.
Yeah,
and I really want to unpack that, because we're living in a time where racism, well, in America, racism has ran rampant in previous years, and it never has went away. People still have it. But now we in a period now where it's just kind of really coming back strong, because people are just kind of really saying how they really feel. Yeah. And then you're got a very unique position. Yeah. You know, being a black man raised by a white mother, and then, you know, with this statement that you made, she's racist, but she's not. Unpack it a little bit more.
So, like, basically, she'll have names for us that they used to say to her, or how she grew up. But excuse me,
No, cool,
she's just talking, you know, whatever. But really, when you look at it, what she's saying, like, okay, looking out, if you're seeing it, and she's like, oh, these boys is monkeys. Like, my dad was like, what? Like, but she's not thinking it like that. I know she's not like, oh, she's really thinking like, these boys is off the chain. They like monkeys. They just won't stop. But she's not looking at it as in like a race fact. Like, oh, you're white. They're just no, she's not thinking. She's just saying like, these boys is monkeys. They're like just certain stuff.
So she's saying that she's saying it in the truest sense of the word, based on monkey behavior. But the fact that she's white and white people use that as a racial slur, she's not even making the connection to that, is what you're saying.
We used to.
And then when she says it, if you have any other black people around, like your dad,
they're going to look.
It's like, wait a minute. Time out. You need to understand the implications of what that is.
Yeah, I might be a kid and not understand it, but you're going to be like, you know what I'm saying, peeping at and be like, I don't really know about that. So back then, you know, we used to say the N-word.
Okay.
My granny she'll say it too.
She would say it too. Wow,
she'll be like,
that's tough.
I ain't a whoop. I'll be like,
wow.
What? I'll be looking stuck. Like, Granny, she'll be like, what? I'll just like, yeah, Granny's, like, she don't care. And
That's tough.
I don't even care. I'm to the point where it's like, I don't care if you say that, because I know it's different when it comes from certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though, we say it to ourselves. So if at the end of the day, if we get mad at another race saying it, we need to stop saying it to ourselves then. Because it's not even good for us to be saying it. So at the end of the day, you mad at somebody else saying it, they're just copying of what they hear, because we made it so original to say that, and so proud to be like, that's what we do. Like, even if you're not saying it racist, we say that all day. That's all them.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. you know, Jay-Z, when he talked about it, he talked about taking the power out of the word and using it as a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Is how he is kind of how he
Yeah.
phrased it. I understand the philosophy of it, and I get it, and I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm on both sides of the fence when it comes to that, and I think that that's what the real problem is that when you have a word or a phrase or whatever, but it has a lot of ambiguity around it. It's like, how do you even decipher that? Like, you know, how does a person decipher that? You feel me? Whereas you can hold one person's hand to the fire for it, but then you can give another person a pat on the back,
Yup.
you know, for it.
Yup.
I'm as I'm imagining it from her perspective. That's such a slippery slope when you got black kids and you're a white woman and then you use the N word and the whatever. And I wouldn't know the context under which she was using it, but I could see how that could wage a lot of wars.
Yeah, definitely could.
To say the least.
Yeah, but she wasn't scared to. Definitely wasn't scared to just be her or say it or let her presence know. Like, I don't care what you think. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
You know, but just basically showing us like y'all sound, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how y'all sound. I'm doing what y'all do. Like, she knew like, yeah, that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? But she know like, I don't know if y'all see that yet. Maybe you don't see it yet. How, you know, maybe it, you know, so.
Yeah. So you at some point, obviously, you started becoming more responsible.
Yeah.
When did that transition take place and how?
I would say when I got a little bit older, you know, I just started seeing like more. I just got older. Like, also too, like, it was from like maybe 16, 17. We was wilding. I got kicked out of my granny crib. We had to move all time. Never lived with my granny ever since then. But it was just, you know, like, we was wilding. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was, but like, started getting older. I stopped going to school. I was just partying. I was literally having parties at the crib. My granny, she couldn't do nothing. Like, we kicking it. It's supposed to be school. I'm calling all the homies over. We having fun, smoking, doing all, just kicking it. You know, I'm like, you know, sometimes I go to school, but that ain't really, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't really the best move and whatnot. So, but it made everything, now I get older and I'm like, I done already did all that. I done partied and kicked it so much when I was younger and did all of that. Now it's game time. Now I don't be all, I got to go to the club every weekend or I got to go do, I did that. We were 16, 17 having the time of our life. Like, and that's the best time to do it, because when you get older, you're going to understand, like, okay, it's game time. You got responsibilities. You got to be an adult now. Now it's not the same anymore. That's why they say you better live it up when you're young, because you get a lot of freedom and you can get away with a lot of stuff when you're young.
So you basically stepping into manhood. There's a scripture
Yep.
In the Bible that says, when I was a child, I thought as a child.
Yep.
Spake as a child, but you know, when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Yep.
It sounds like that's the area in which you're going to, and so yeah, man. Let's jump into it, because obviously you've been through a lot. You're going through this transition of coming into manhood, and you know, with the Man Up Club, that's actually what our mission is, which is developing young boys into holistic young men of character. You know, you're talking about the party and the wilding out and all of that, and doing it at such a young age, and now you stepping into this level of maturity.
Yep.
You know, what was that transition like as far as you stepping into maturity? Obviously, you got your own business now, right?
Yeah.
A Golden Touch mobile detailing. You're doing that now. The thing is, I guess the question becomes, who would have thought, knowing you back then, that you would be doing what you're doing and where you're at right now?
Nobody. Not even me. You know, so back then, you know, from me partying and leaving, and that made me a man, because now I'm taking steps towards just doing things. When you get out of school, that's when it all hits the fan. You know, when you don't got school no more and you back outside and now you don't have somewhere to be anymore. Now you like, what is my life looking like? So when I wasn't going to school and everything I'm seeing, being in the streets or trying to be in the streets, I'm learning. Even though I'm not learning in school, I'm learning other things that in your everyday life, you're book smart and street smart. You're going to need both because at the end of the day, there's going to be things that you're going to have to deal with in the streets, and not just saying like gang related or anything. You're going to have to deal with things outside of educational level, because there's other things out here that are they're going to come in, and you're going to have to know how to maneuver through that. You know what I'm saying? So being able to articulate with people, understanding people, knowing that these are certain people, you have to talk to certain people a certain way. You have to give respect to get respect. You can't play with people. You can't always joke with people. People aren't playing. They're not, this is serious out here. This isn't school anymore. These people are, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand these things. And without me going through that and seeing certain things, me knowing like, oh, I'm not psyched out about that. I'm not getting caught up in that because I've seen that and I see what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? First time me ever seeing somebody do drugs, I seen him smoking meth. I was like stuck. Like I seen that on TV. Like, okay, they're promoting this, don't do drugs on the TV. And now one day I'm with my homies and I actually see somebody, and I see somebody doing drugs in front of me, and I'm just looking like, I know not to do that, but that's how, like, I'm seeing that. Like, that changed me, just certain stuff, seeing crackheads and stuff like that, and just being like, not knowing that this is how you can end up in life if you get caught up with the wrong people and you do the wrong thing. You can end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? My mom said she was in prison when and I used to go to the prison and see her. I don't remember that, luckily, but she said like, yeah, you came to see me a couple times. You know, that's where you're gonna end up, and when you doing these type of things and you not understanding that you can get caught up. Like, it's good to learn and to know, but at the end of the day, that ain't really where you want to be at. You know what I'm saying? But it's glad that it happened to me, or I seen things, because now I know what I'm doing. I know how to move. I know how to be in certain areas and just maneuver and be okay and know what I'm doing. Know how to help people.
Yeah, I wanna tap into something you said in regards to that, because I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%. That these are the pitfalls of life that you have to try to overcome and maneuver and not get caught up in. And obviously these things impact your life, like drugs and going to prison, and obviously you don't want to be a killer. We know that where that leads to, or being killed. And then there's a lot of other things as far as, like you said, how to talk to people. You can't say certain things to certain people because there's certain consequences, and everybody's out here going for theirs and trying to live their life or whatever. And you don't know people's tolerance, and you don't know people's capacity.
There you go.
Having understanding all of that, when it comes to, because you're an artist, I'm an artist. Obviously there's a lot of artists out there. When you listen to hip hop music, that's all it pushes you to do. So talk to me about that. How influential do you believe that lyrics are in music?
Very.
And how does it translate into real life?
Very, because just like from your favorite rapper, you're hearing that and you're getting inspired by that, or you're hearing something that's catching your attention, and you're hearing certain things that's happening out here, and then you're seeing it. And then it's like, you know what I'm saying? You're getting fascinated by that, or you're getting intrigued, but you're getting sucked into that. But you got to know, like you said, you got to know when to step out of reality. You got to know when to sit back and know, like, okay, this is a message. Yes, this can be related to real life. This can be true, but you got to know when to pull yourself back and be like, okay, this is just music.
But do you think that the generation are mature enough to make that distinction?
That not everybody. Like you said, like I said, everybody's gonna figure it out at their own pace. You might hear music one day and be like, you can listen to music, but do you hear music? You know what I'm saying? It's two different things. You can listen to music all day. I just listen to music, but do you hear it? Do you understand the message in every music that's being played to you? Whether it's some rock, I listen to everything. I'm not biased on whatever. Good music's good music. I might hear some stuff that Granny used to play country classical music all day, so it ain't nothing I ain't heard. Music is music. That's art. There's different ways of people how they express their art. So just seeing that and just knowing, like, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think that's difficult for the culture to decipher, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of things that we're seeing as far as a lot of the killing in the inner city
Yeah.
communities, and then people going to prison and this, that, and the other. I'm gonna take it a step further because it's one thing to listen to the music, as you said. It's another thing to hear the music. But then the other piece is that people like to connect to the source of the music,
Yep.
which is the person that's doing the
Yep.
music.
Yep.
And oftentimes, people they either portray it or they actually live
Yep.
a certain lifestyle that,
Yep.
and the bottom line is that it's not positive. It doesn't lead you in a
Yep.
positive direction.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, it leads you to death and destruction.
Yep.
I got a homeboy who's out there on the ground right now named D1. Are you familiar with D1?
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, D1 is out of Louisiana, and he says, hip hop ain't hip hop no more. It's hypocritical hop. Is basically how he phrases it.
Yeah.
And it's basically talking about death and destruction, and he's saying that rappers have to be more artists and rappers have to be more responsible
For sure.
with their lyrics and really take accountability for the message that they pushing, because young people actually carry out what they're hearing, because they're connecting not only just to listening and hearing the music, but they're connecting to the person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it another step further. Reverend Al Sharpton was preaching the other day, and he had a profound message. He said, "Hey man, I've been friends with James Brown before he passed me, and he and I were like brothers." He said, and James Brown said to me, he says, I when I sing, I basically sing, about I'm black and I'm proud. Aretha Franklin, she sang about, respect. Marvin Gaye talked about, what's going on with the wars and this, that, and the other. He said, we had all of these messages because of what was going on in the culture with our people.
Mm-hmm.
He says, how do we go from that to basically calling women hoes and bees and the N-word and to promoting the killing? How does the culture go from being so socially conscious to what's really happening, where they're talking about, hey, we're singing about surviving this system so we can have a level of freedom and independence. But now it's kind of like even boomerang to the point where it's like now we just on a pipeline to prison. How does that hit you about what I'm saying?
Man, times change. It just lets you know, like, and it's still the same, but it's just like you said, like the message, and it's getting different, and that's why I say, like, I've always tried to be like Tupac. I like Tupac, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he kept it, did gangster rap, but he also had a good message in there, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just, you can still be you, but also if you know what I'm saying? Because you have people listening to you, so tell them something that, hopefully positive. Not everybody's like that, but that's the world that we're in, you know what I'm saying? But you got to know, like, okay, if you're doing this, you got people that are going to follow you. You wouldn't want your niece or somebody following you and you're saying, oh, I heard my cousin say that on the song. I'd be like, don't even listen to me then. Because if that's the case, I'm seeing the wrong message all the time. I need to figure out how to still have fun with it, but get the message across, like, this isn't cool. I started making music. I'm like, I can talk about all that, but after a while that gets old. So what else I'm going to talk about? Talk about you. Talk about being a person. Talk about being a real individual. Talk about your feelings. Talk about being sad. Talk about being happy. Talk about what makes you, you know what I'm saying? Instead of always, like you said, this is all of this and drugs. And there's more to life than just that. Put it in the music. It's rappers and artists. It's people who just rap and stuff like that. It's people who make music and art and take it more seriously and more differently. And it's just all how you putting that message out. You know what I'm saying? So back then, times are more. Back then, we were more like together, if that makes sense, because we had to be. Like, there was more against us for us to be more locked in, if that makes sense. Now it's kind of like it's against us, but now we done broke away from like us being more. And that's the problem with black people. Our race can never really come together. We can, but then we always falling out over some crazy stuff, or we can't always just keep it tight because we always arguing or falling out over some stuff that other races or people would just be like, you know what I'm saying? We hold a lot of emotion and we hold a lot of stuff in with us. We don't know how to let that go. You know what I'm saying?
And you're saying a lot, and I'm gonna see if I can try to unpack some of that in just with the last couple of minutes we got here. I think that we can relate to a person being traumatized when they're a kid or what have you, and then allowing that a trauma that trauma, if it's unchecked trauma, undealt with trauma, it affects that person for the rest of their lives and can affect them to the point where they ultimately continue to make bad decisions. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay. And if that's the case and we can process that on an individual basis, I think from a cultural standpoint that's something that has happened that kind of encapsulates what you're talking about, because it comes down to what slavery done was traumatized an entire culture of people. And that's what I don't think people really understand. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you go through slavery and this, that, and the other, and you hear a lot of people say, well, hey, I wasn't a part of that. You hear a lot of white people say, hey, man, I ain't had nothing to do with that. How does that even connect with me? You'll have black kids that say, hey, yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I wasn't living then.
Yeah.
But if you apply trauma to that, yes, it does. You see what I'm saying? Yes, if you apply trauma to it. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at as we close out. I think we're looking at a traumatized generation, be it black or be it white. You feel me?
Yeah.
In other words, bottom line is that we got a whole lot of work to get done.
There you go. We gotta work on
a whole lot
ourselves
of work to get
interior.
done.
We gotta work. We gotta look in the mirror. We gotta sit back and really reflect and understand. And we gotta understand people and let people and just know that we're all the same. We're all the same people, but we all have different views, different outlooks. We gotta just know, like, it can all be greater than what it is if we all come together and do something.
That's real.
You know.
Moses Azad, it's been a pleasure, man, to talk with you.
Appreciate it.
To get to know you, to get your insight. I think this conversation has helped a lot of people. You
Most
feel
definitely.
me?
Shout out to Man Up Club.
And also to Golden Touch Mobile Detailing, man. Tell the people how they can connect with you if they want to get connected on the
If you ever need a detail, you can contact Golden Touch Mobile Detailing. We're on Google. You can Google us. We have an Instagram page, Golden Touch Mobile Detailing LLC. My Facebook is Moses Azad. It'll pop up Golden Touch Mobile Detailing. If you ever need to contact, we have websites, anything like that. You can contact 507-551-5356 and talk to the man himself, and we can get you locked in and on your way.
And y'all know what it is. You know how to contact us, the Man Up Club. Go to themanupclub.org or tap into us on IG at themanupclub.mn. It's your man Cross, and we out.